Hello and welcome back to Lindy's YouTube channel. My name is Aditi and I am back with mixed media inspiration for y'all. Today I am going to be creating this galaxy inspired jumbo tag using the outer space set of magicals, which is the challenge set of the month. Of course, we are being inspired by the galaxy of possibilities, and I thought this tag would be so perfect to inspire you all to play along with us for the monthly challenge. I have here a piece of watercolor cardstock just trimmed down to a tag, and I am beginning by misting it with water and just painting. So I have all the five colors mixed with water on my palette, and I begin with the outer space aqua right in the center of the tag, just picking it with my paintbrush and dabbing it, and then cleaning the brush and using clean water to drag the paint around. I add in alien goo green and UFO yellow as well because my intention is to keep the center light almost as if something is radiating right from there from the galaxy. So with that in mind, I first lay out the lighter colors and then pick the galactic teal and start adding that to the edges and the borders of the tag, bringing in all the color inwards into the tag. So the darker color almost frames my tag. This is all about layers, so I'm just working slowly and steadily. And now I just bring in a little bit of the Martian magenta as well at the edges, adding more of galactic teal and aqua over that just to darken the edges, bring in all the colors, the contrast that I need to create this galaxy effect. The darker the edges, the more light I am going to have right in the center. I do dry between layers and then go on and add more color as desired and build it slowly layer by layer. Like you can see, it is just something where I'm picking the paint, dabbing it on my tag and dragging it around with clean water. Once I'm happy and the color looks good, I am using this stencil which creates this starburst pattern with some modeling paste right in the center where I left a lot of light. So I want to create the illusion of something bursting out from that point where it is light on my tag. This stencil seemed perfect to create that sort of an effect, and I like the contrast of the white on all of that color going on in my background. This somehow also tends to create like a little white space, although it's not completely white, but with the light in the background and adding this white, this is where we are creating that breathing space on our tag. Now, I am playing with a whole lot of stamps designed by my friend Nuneka in collaboration with Funky Fossils, and they are all galaxy inspired. I have picked out this stamp which is slightly smaller than my stencil burst, and I am going to stamp that with embossing ink right in the center of that stenciled area and add Wowzer's white embossing powder over that and heat set that. What this has done is it's given me a little more detail and interest into that starburst instead of leaving a larger hole right there. It's just reduced the size and I think it worked very well for the idea I had in mind. I am picking in another of this stamp which has stars and these dots which I think just bring about that whole vibe and feel of a galaxy. So again, I am stamping that with embossing ink and sprinkling the Wowzer white embossing powder. And I do this again in layers bit by bit. I stamp on the top, I then move to the sides of the tag, and then I add more stamping to the bottom, basically covering my entire tag with this stamp set. Again, tying in with the idea of this entire scene being one from the galaxy. So that just adds a lot more detail than leaving my background plain. So once I am happy with all of that stamped, I am just quickly going to use my heat tool and heat set all of that gorgeous embossing powder. And you can see just that pop of a detail with the white embossing powder enhances all our colors of the galaxy even more. So with that done, now I am going to build in a little more with stamp layers. So I'm bringing in some script stamp now, and I am going to stamp that all over on my tag randomly with some black ink. I am definitely focusing more on the outer edges because that is where I want to make it more darker, and trying to leave that alien goo green area in the center of the tag untouched, keeping that mostly clear. So stamping all of that randomly, and once I'm happy it looks good, I am bringing in some of my stamped images. So I had stamped a whale and an astronaut on separate pieces of watercolor paper and heat embossed that with boogie down black embossing powder. And I am going to just use the Lindy's on my palette and paint these images. So I am just mixing in color for wherever I feel I need more. And once I have that, I am going to start painting my stamped images. So since I used very little of the Martian magenta on the background, I am bringing that here on the veil. That is just going to bring in a little more variety in terms of the shading, and I am mixing that with the galactic teal as well as using outer space aqua on the top of the body and mixing that slightly with the Martian magenta. So in that way I am quickly effortlessly painting my veil, not focused too much on the shading but just bringing in a variation with the color by mixing some colors, keeping it dark at a few places and keeping it light at a few other places. So once that looks good and I am happy with what I have painted, I am going to fussy cut the painted images and set them aside to layer on my tag, and then just bring back my tag for more work. Like you can see, this is a very relaxing and therapeutic process. I absolutely enjoy painting any stamped image with my Lindy's, and I do this in layers, adding color bit by bit, step by step, stopping when I feel like it looks good. So bringing back my tag, I want to further darken the edges, create a little more shadow and frame the entire tag. So I'm going to use black ink and just distress the edges of the tag with a foam dauber. So this instantly is going to frame the entire tag and create that necessary depth dimension that we need to darken the edges, giving the colors a more pop and creating that whole galaxy look that I was going in for. I have all my elements ready to assemble and finish the composition on the tag. So I am going to use foam tape to uproot these two elements. So I have colored the astronaut in the same way like I colored the whale. I just brought in the other colors from the same color set and finished coloring the astronaut. And I want to create a scene in the sense that the astronaut is over the whale yet floating, and that burst effect that I created in the center, I want that to be in the background of the astronaut, almost as if the astronaut is emerging from the galaxy on a whale. So just creating a nice fantasy galaxy scene with the concept of exploring possibilities, exploring the unknown that you will see I bring in my sentiment. Once I'm happy, I'm just bringing in my colors and adding splatter. So at this stage, I have also mixed in Milky Way white on my palette and added splatters using that because that really gives a nice, cool, shimmery white effect, and I quite like the look of that on these two stamped colored detailed images. So with that done, like I said, I bring in my stickers, journal stickers, and choose one that fits right with my tag, explore the unknown. And I have mounted that on a piece of black cardstock, and then I am adhering that on my tag. So at this stage, I thought I was done, but what I did was I stamped two more planets from the astronaut and colored them the same way, fussy cut, and just adhered them behind the astronaut, creating a little balloon of planets, and finished my tag with that. I really hope this inspires you, and I am looking forward to your creations for this challenge. Until the next time, take care and bye bye.